When I saw that you could get a touchscreen head unit for $28 that had Bluetooth, a relatively nice looking display, an aux port, and phone mirror capability, I had to buy it and test it out. Behold in all its glory the Chinese 7012B radio, which is widely available on eBay and Amazon. Installation of this product was fairly simple, although the instruction manual was quite unclear and not particularly helpful. However, if you take your time and ensure you're connecting the right wires where they're supposed to go, you shouldn't have any trouble, and every wire is labeled on the unit itself. Also, wiring diagrams for pretty much all cars are available with a little bit of searching on the internet. After removing my old, properly functioning but retro radio, I installed the new one. And I tested my unit out for the first time, and I was actually pretty impressed. The Bluetooth connected flawlessly, and the sound quality wasn't too bad, especially for my Miata, which had questionable sound quality to begin with. The touchscreen wasn't perfectly responsive, but once again, it wasn't bad, especially considering the cost. Initial impressions, this thing was well worth the money, and I even considered it one of the best modifications that I've done to my car. Now that you know a little bit about what I initially thought, I'll go over the features of the unit before I get into whether or not I would recommend it. Let's get into the physical features first. It comes with a USB port, an aux port, a mic to pick up Bluetooth calls, a microSD card slot, LED backlit buttons, and a fairly nice 7-inch touchscreen display. For the $28 that I paid, that's a lot of features. Now I'll go into all of the features and options that the radio itself has once it's turned on. I apologize in advance for the mediocre recording quality of the video recorded touchscreen, but either way, this part of the video will show you exactly what this radio is capable of. Alright, so when you turn on this radio, it takes a couple of seconds and then you'll see this loading screen here. And then if you have an SD card in, it's going to pick something to play off of the SD card. Here you could see a quick video that I edited of my friend's WRX. It has music, and this is just the first thing that the radio picks to play. It is a little bit laggy because I didn't edit it to have any breaks there, and as you could see there are some breaks, so if you're trying to load some higher quality video on here, it might be a bit laggy. Anyway, now we could go ahead and get into the rest of the functions on the radio. As you can see, it said file type not supported because I have some pictures that are too wide for the radio, and I was really just curious to see what it would do. Come on. There we go. Alright, so here are the actual options on the radio. You have a FM option, which obviously if you have antenna radio, that'll work for that. I don't have an antenna actually hooked up on my car, so that's why you don't hear anything. You could play music directly off of an SD card. This is just a generic royalty-free song that I was going to use in a couple edits. You could load movies, which is what I was showing you when the radio first started up. So this is the only video on here that actually is compatible that I've loaded on the SD card right now. Come on. There we go. You could look at pictures that you save on there. Right now, this one's a bit too narrow. You could see that this is a square picture and the radio won't load it. That one, obviously, is the proper aspect ratio, and this one is also too narrow for this radio. So, it's definitely picky with what it could play for pictures, but it could play a standard aspect ratio picture without too much trouble, and that is a pretty cool option there. Next up down here we have phone link. Now this is something that as far as I could tell you can't use if you have an iPhone, so I can't go too in depth with how that phone link actually works. If anyone has an Android and has been able to successfully connect to this head unit, leave down in the comments down below how the phone link works, because like I said, right now I really can't get that to work. Next up we have Bluetooth. Now this is the main reason that I bought this head unit. I actually haven't connected to it yet, so I'm going to go ahead and connect right now. It's a bit hard to see. Let me just adjust this real quick so you can see it. It comes right up under car Bluetooth here, so you select that and then you'll pair. It asks you if you want to sync your contacts, because this does have a pretty cool calling feature on it, which I'll show you shortly. And now I'm paired. So now you could go ahead and play music from your device. And this Bluetooth does actually work very, very well, and I'm pretty impressed with it. After you've paired for the first time, it'll pair pretty much right away as soon as you start up the radio, and that works, like I said, quite good. So you could go on here to your contacts and stuff like this. You could download the phone book. This is just grabbing the contacts off of my phone right now. And now, as you could see, I'm just going to blur this so you can't actually see the numbers. But this has all the phone numbers of the people that I have, so I'd be able to call people directly from my phone. Here you could see a phone record of the people that have called me and who I've called. And over here, once again, you just have your dial so you could call right from your car. And then here's just the general music section where you could skip songs, pause songs, stuff like that. So, like I said, the Bluetooth function on this thing is quite good. And right now, just so you could see it, I'm going to have someone call my phone so you could see what comes up on the screen. And I'm actually pretty impressed by this feature too. As you could see, it comes right through the radio. You could answer it, decline it, and honestly, I don't know what that does, but there we go. And now I'm just on the phone in the car, and that's pretty nice. Yeah, that works well. The last thing that I want to go through is the settings. This here, AV in, I believe is the aux cord. Right now I don't have one plugged in, but I have no reason to believe that that wouldn't work. So if you want to use an aux cord instead of Bluetooth, that is an option. Now getting back into some more options on the radio here. Oh, that's cool. That's something that I actually didn't know until right now. There's a mode there that lets you change the brightness of the display, so you could go into night mode, turn the radio off, and then turn it back on just with that there. In settings here, there are a ton of different options. For audio, you could go through and adjust basically the normal things that you would want to do on the radio. You have your bass and your treble, and then you could choose where you want the sound in the car. You could slide this thing around here. I'm just going to keep it centered because this Miata only has 2 speakers. Clicking back here, you could change the language. I'm just going to keep mine in English so I don't get completely lost with it. Under Other, there are a lot of options here. There is software updates. These radios do have a lot of different firmware versions, but I'm just going to continue using the one that's on there. Under Display, you could change your brightness, contrast, saturation, and hue. Steering wheel controls, mine doesn't have anything for that. I don't know if that will be an option. Once again, if you know about that, leave it below. Time, I'm going to go ahead and set this. It's 2020 now. Under Other, you could go ahead and work on your LED backlight. So if you want to change the color there, you could change it. That just changes the color of these buttons right there. I'm going to leave mine on red, but it's cool that that's an option. You could choose between a couple different backgrounds. The options aren't too crazy here. They're all actually pretty similar. I'm just going to leave that as is. And that's actually pretty much going to wrap up the features of this radio and what it could do. If there's anything that I missed here that's a big feature that you think is really awesome with this radio that I didn't talk about, feel free to leave it below. But for me, those were the big things that I liked about this. In summary, this radio has a lot of options, but I will say that you get what you pay for with such a cheap unit. This unit works, but not everything is perfectly consistent. My first one would turn on and reset as soon as I turned it back off, effectively bricking it for a few hours and leaving it completely unusable until something inside it reset and it would come back to life, but once again, only until I turned it back off the first time. Customer support is fairly limited, and the quality of the radio is definitely kind of questionable. If you're a gambling man and want to try to get something that works, you might end up with a winner. I, however, did not with my first unit, and I spent lots of time messaging back and forth with the eBay seller until they finally believed that I had a defective unit and that I didn't install it wrong. With that said, you do get tons of features for an extremely low price, between $25 and $40 depending on the prices at the time that you're looking. And also, most of these radios come with a backup camera, which I didn't get into in this video because I didn't actually install it in my car. But anyway, after getting my replacement, I could say that I'm still pretty impressed with it. I just don't expect good support or necessarily great longevity. I'd love to hear what your experience has been with eBay head units if you've bought one. I've provided links in the video description and in the comments to where you could get your own touchscreen head units that are the same as the ones that I talked about in this video. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, and of course, subscribe for more. I hope you stick around for the next one.